Welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Larry.
And I'm Heather. In 1998, at the age of 26, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It changed everything for us, but I'm still here.
You are. Hi.
Adjusting the lighting.
Yes.
Whew, okay. It is sunny today. We are going to talk about 25 years. It's, most of our life together, we've been doing cancer, right? So, it's exciting to think about the fact that we can celebrate 25 years of living with metastatic disease, right? It's definitely kind of monumental, I would say, and
Unusual.
Yes. But I just wanted, we're gonna have some guests on over the next couple of weeks and talk about, listen to their perspectives and just kind of reminisce a little bit. But I thought maybe we'd start by doing that ourselves. So,
Okay.
what do you remember?
For the most part, it's being scared.
Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning there, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly being scared.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the initial visit with Dr. Wee?
Kinda. Not no details, but yeah, I kind of do remember that. Just, yeah. Yeah, a few details. I mean, yeah, but it wasn't. That wasn't necessarily scary. I mean, because she was pretty positive.
Yeah.
You know. You remember?
I remember. I mean, I remember it was in the evening, and that made it a little bit unusual. I remember having Sydney with us, which also, we thought that we were going to be there, just kind of talking about all good things. And I do remember her kind of, I don't want to say backpedaling, but kind of saying, well, it could be this or it could be this, but it could be cancer.
Yeah, I didn't even remember we had Sydney with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just remember going, what? What? And also, I wasn't there to talk about, like, she noticed, like, that my nipple was retracted right at the beginning of the visit. And I wasn't there to talk about that. I was there to kind of, I did want to mention that I felt some pain in my sternum, you know? So, right. I just remember that going, like, just, it is surprising that things can change kind of so quickly, right? But it took 2 weeks, really, about 2 weeks, I think, to find out that, one, I had cancer, and two, that it was metastatic. Maybe it was a little less than that. But I remember her calling and asking if you could also get on the phone back in the day when we had landlines. And she was the one who told us that it was cancerous and that we would need to do more tests to figure out what was happening.
So, you had done a biopsy before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that stuff got kind of fast. It went fairly fast. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like we met with her. I don't know, I guess, what night of the week it was that we met with her. But we kind of went.
Yeah, I remember it was like after hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we then started, the testing started fairly quickly. And it kind of was the initial stuff. I think a mammogram, an ultrasound, a biopsy.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. That's
right.
That's pretty much what it took to determine that it was cancer.
Yeah.
And then from there we started we met with a surgeon. We were doing a lot more testing. And then that ended in it wasn't quite an evening appointment, but it was late afternoon, and late afternoon in December in Michigan is very dark. So, I remember the bone scan. I remember falling apart at the hospital, like, and knowing that I had to get to another appointment, and then the doctor being so angry, so angry.
Yeah. That was not a good day.
That was a terrible day. That was December 17th. That's kind of the day that I consider it, like, that's my anniversary, my cancer anniversary, right?
Okay.
Because I guess I feel like we would have done anything for an earlier stage at that point. We would have been like, oh, we can handle anything, right?
Yeah.
But December 17th was like, oh, okay, we're all in. We got to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, really a terrible day. And I know that people can really relate to those kind of things. It just feels like it's a spiral downward, and it's so hard to think about anything. It's hard to focus on, absolutely anything other than...
that's kind of what I think. I just went blank.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what to do, and I don't know what the wrong things are to say or the right things are, and you just kind of freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think your, circumstances were a little bit different. I literally had just resigned from my job, and I was going to start a new job in a different school district. So there was a little bit of kind of the daily life of that too. So my former boss at my old job was like, okay, I'm sorry. And also, are you going to have your stuff done? Because you're leaving,
Mm-hmm.
And just, I don't know. But I remember going to work a couple days before we knew it was stage 4, and that was terrible too. Like, I remember people saying, oh, it'll be fine, or all of those kind of things that you hear. And some people you didn't want to tell, and other people you did. And this was really, really tough. But,
Mm-hmm.
whew. But December 18th was a better day. That was the day I drove to my friend's house. You did go to work that day. You knew that you were going to be taking time off and whatever. That was the last day before Christmas break. So,
Yep.
So you went to work and I went to my friend's house, and she was the perfect person to be with. She just was able to say the right things and kind of just sit with me as I was freaking out. But that was also the day that Dr. Mariver called, and we kind of were given a little light in the darkness.
Not a little. I mean, I think, if the physician that we met with on whatever date that was, December, 17th, he was rude, he was upset, he had the worst bedside manner. If we would have stayed with him, probably wouldn't have maybe even remembered that, because he likely would have gotten a lot better after that. But we had these two extremes to compare.
Yeah.
We had this physician who didn't want to be there, compared to Dr. Mariver.
Right.
And that's why it is so extreme and such a big memory for us.
And I think that too, it was all about him on Thursday night, about him having to give the news, about him going on vacation, about him, all of those things. It had nothing to do with me.
Right.
And the next day, talking to Dr. Mariver, the conversation was all about me. And that's what I remember actually saying that to you. Like, she asked me so many questions. She wanted to know about us and myself and all of those kind of things. And it just was really...
it was night and day.
It was night and day. Yeah. So, I don't know. I like, there's been many years that I've been like, oh, it's my anniversary or my cancerversary or whatever. And you're always like, why would you celebrate the worst day that we've ever had?
It's true.
And I think you celebrate it because you made it through, right?
That's true also. Yes.
And
I think it just probably makes more sense to celebrate the end of your treatment, which you probably don't even know.
I don't even have the day. Yeah.
Right. I think that's what normal people
do. And
do.
again, at the end of my treatment, like, it technically still in treatment.
Right? Oh, so we're still waiting to celebrate. Okay. All right.
But also, I think the longer I live, the more I've realized that sometimes it's nice to put good memories on to days that were bad, right? To be a little intentional about those days, if you can.
I mean, we certainly do that as a country.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So, December 18th, Dr. Mariver calls, gives me your phone number for the weekend, tells me to eat some fruits and vegetables, drink some green tea, and we'll start killing cancer on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
What a difference.
Yeah.
I bought some green tea and some fruits and vegetables on the way home from my friend's house, I remember. And we decided that we would all go to a concert that we all had tickets for that next night, Saturday night. So that was still really challenging. It was great to be with my friend. She had just broken her leg in 2 places, so she was literally in a wheelchair. So we got really great seats. That was nice. And we were away from people. That was nice. But I remember going, and a bunch of people from our church were also at that same concert. And I remember you saying, like, do you want to go talk to them? And I was like, let's get it over with.
So I don't remember this. Did they already know?
I think they did, yes.
Okay. Because we had told our closest friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was a large group, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was a big thing, yeah. So I was just like, let's just go and get over. I was already really, like, it just is so hard to have conversation when everything you talk about, like,
because it's all small talk in that situation. It's all small talk,
exactly. And small talk doesn't matter when you have stage 4 breast cancer.
Yes.
So, but we did it. And then on Monday, we started treatment. Yep. So, I mean, no time wasted. We were in Ann Arbor. We were meeting Dr. Mariver in person. We were meeting the nurses. My mom went with us. And we were off and running. Mm-hmm. And
started chemotherapy.
Yeah. I remember asking Kelly, my nurse, Dr. Mariver's nurse, before I even asked her, I remember her saying, you're the same age as me. And, basically, we're not going to lose you. It was really sweet of her to say that. And just to kind of, I don't know if nurses understand how much patients hold on to those things,
Mm-hmm.
And
no, I don't. It's I think a similar. You hear from a student 10 years later, and they say, "Oh, I remember when you said," and you're like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, I'm glad that you hung on to that, or that's the reason why I may, and went into this, and you're just like, "What?"
Yeah.
No, you're. I think she's probably just doing her job. Now, were you different? Yeah, I don't think they see a lot of 25 or 26-year-old stage 4 breast cancer patients. You were an unusual patient at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was some personal stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because Kelly went on and she left the state, even went to a different cancer place, and she's since come back, and one of the committees or groups that I meet with, she's also a part of that. And this has just been within the last couple of years that we were on a Zoom and I didn't have my camera on, she didn't have hers on, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's her. I knew exactly. Like, it was just really cool to be able to reconnect a little bit. And she, of course, remembered me, and it was really cool. But we started chemo that day. I remember asking her when my hair was going to fall out, and she's like, in 14 days. And I was like, oh, about that. She's like, nope, that's the science. 14 days. Good luck. I remember that, the chemo, I had a reaction when we first started it, and that was just something we weren't prepared for. Or I don't know. I just had no expectation. I didn't know what chemo was enough I kind of thought, oh my gosh, this is what it's going to be like. Mm-hmm. So, it was crazy. But kind of I would just say, what I also remember from that time was, like, as soon as we got going, I also, like, things finally stopped getting worse. Right?
Yep.
that was the best thing. Like it
Yeah,
just felt
no
like
doubt.
in the first couple of weeks, or the first, like, in terms of diagnosis, I could not get a positive test result to save my life.
Well, yeah, with the exception of it obviously didn't travel to every organ in your body.
Right.
With the exception of that, every test wasn't just bad, it was the worst.
Yeah.
It was the worst.
It was the worst possible
like,
outcome.
whoa. With the exception of that. Because
Yep.
could it be worse? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that.
I think we actually did a brain scan after I started chemo. I think it might have been right after that. Like, we hadn't gotten to that yet.
I didn't remember that. Okay.
You know, but everything else had been done, I think. So we
Yeah.
did know that it wasn't in some of my organs, which was great. It was just everywhere in my bones, right?
Yeah.
But once we got started, then it was like, okay, baby steps. How do we move forward? How do we keep it? I don't want to say positive necessarily, but what can I do, and how can we kill cancer every
Well,
day?
this is where you really started to do. Not only by letting people know what was going on in the form of that letter or whatever that was, and truly we got just a tremendous response, which is pretty uplifting, let me tell you. But in the day before internet and doing the social media and all that, we got that without it, and it was pretty unbelievable. Not only that, you know, you started writing the letters to Sydney, not the book, but the letters to Sydney. You know, those actual, and that's when you just started doing, and you, I think, read a few books, listened to some. It wasn't podcasts.
No, I actually had a woman. So
that's what it was.
remember,
Yeah.
I sent out this letter because, you know, I was leaving one school where I worked in a bunch of schools. So I had a lot of people there that were concerned. And then, you know, you have a lot of people too, and whatever, in our families back home. So I had sent this letter out, just kind of saying, you know, just help us. Like, we're trying. We're not saying why me. We're saying try me.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, and this woman sent me a literal cassette tape of Bernie Siegel, like, visualization. And she lived in Pittsburgh, and she said, you know, like, I've been doing this for a while. You can do it too. Like, you know, and like, here it is. And she was like a teacher that I knew, but I wasn't super close to. It was like her stepmom or something that just was like, this is what I'm going to do to help, you know? So yeah, I did start to build my days around, okay, what can I put in that feels good, and what can I get rid of that feels bad, and how do I do this?
And just feeling your way through it, because we, you know, no matter what people tell you, they don't know how you're actually going to feel after chemotherapy. So
Right.
the day after, is it 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, etc.? When do you start coming back up? People had their guesses, and even when I'm talking about nurses and doctors, but it's your body that's really responding to that, and
Yeah,
you started figuring that out.
Well, and even with chemo, though, I think, you know, there is kind of like a add-on effect. So sometimes, you know, I don't remember feeling terrible the first time necessarily, but maybe I did. I don't really remember. You don't really know after. Each one feels unique, and because, you know, maybe it's because it's an additional chemo or whatever that is. So, but yeah, we did just kind of start figuring that out. Treatment was once every 3 weeks, and the story about the hair. The only thing that I remember about that is that I had left my job. In order to get benefits, I needed to work 1 day at my new job. And we had a snow day on the first day back, which was day 14. And I was just like, okay. So I don't think I even touched my hair that day. And then day 15, I went to work for 1 day. And that was, again, I was getting used to like uncomfortable things, but I was literally just working kind of as like a paraprofessional in a classroom, even though I was an occupational therapist. It just was really
to do something.
And I mean, thankfully they were like, yes, do this. Like, just, you know, and I knew it was one day, and then I was off on leave and all of these things. But on the way home from that, I started tugging like at my bangs, and they would just come out like they were in. So then we shaved my head that night. So that was interesting. But again, I think I needed it just kind of as a transformation for me. It was like, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. This is what my focus is, right?
Yeah, you were all in.
So.
And you gave permission to the people around you to support your all-inness.
What do you mean by that?
You let everybody know that not it's why me or not why me, but try me. Mm-hmm. You said, I'm going to kill cancer. You made it obvious that you were going to do everything to attack this thing in your body, which probably changed the narrative of some people. Now, I get some people came up to you and told you stories about people who died, but other people were like, oh, hell yes, let's go. You know, they had that too, and they had permission to do that instead of, oh, I hope you feel okay. You know, like my friends and stuff. They're not those people anyway, but they can be those people when, you know, they just knew because of the letter and because of those things, they were just like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to support that, you know.
We don't know how to support it, but we're going to support it. That's how we all felt,
Yeah.
right? Like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're doing something, right? That's how I'd sum up the first couple of years. We don't know what we're doing, but it seems to be working. So we're just going to roll with it, right? By the end of my third round of chemo, we did a scan, and my tumor in my breast was undetectable. And I remember Dr. Mariver saying, we are clobbering the cancer. And just like, again, just the things that you'll never forget. It was just awesome.
That was the real first good news.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was mentally changing.
Yeah.
Like, this is working.
Yeah.
I mean, and what I'm doing I'm going to keep doing. I'm even going to put a little more effort into what I'm doing because of the results that I got.
Yeah.
It was affirming.
It was affirming, and it's one thing that I have talked to other women about, because oftentimes with metastatic disease, they don't do double mastectomies anymore, or mastectomies in the same way. And I understand kind of that initial want to get it out, but it was so empowering to shrink it, right? To have it disappear, to see that when you take out a mass before you have that opportunity, you don't know for sure, you know?
Did the nipple unretract?
I don't really remember that.
I don't either. Like, I'm trying to... okay.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. Mm-hmm. So, so we did treatment almost all of 1999. We did it through, I was hoping to be done with radiation before you went back to school or before football or something. It didn't end up happening. I know we did it into September. So sometime in September, I finished radiation. So chemotherapy, stem cell transplants, double mastectomy, radiation.
Sometimes I just go, what the F?
What do you mean?
My wife had stage 4 cancer. We'd been married a short time. We have a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
A 1-year-old. And I go, yeah, let's be a head football coach.
And he got the head football job.
And you're like, yeah, we got time. Like, what the hell was I thinking? Oh, my Lord. I just, I can't believe that.
Well, the upside to that was, I mean, Sydney, had some good birthday parties in the stands, and it was okay.
It was okay, but, like, I can't believe it. I wouldn't say I would do it any differently.
No,
I'm just saying
either.
That's definitely not the way a lot of sane people would probably do life.
Well, I can say, I mean, part of that, I grew up with a dad.
Some people take like 6 months off school.
Yeah, to support. But I will say, like, my dad was he did whatever he wanted in his life and I watched that,
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't view it negatively, right? So I don't feel like it didn't feel like a slight to me, like,
Yeah.
how can you not be with, you need to be here. I never felt like that. I just felt like, oh, that's cool. You wanted a head football job, but you should take
Well, I had
it.
gotten the head football job before you
True.
got diagnosed.
Okay. Yeah.
But to still do it was kind of crazy.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Football's been such a big part of our family,
Mm-hmm.
though, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, to not have it would have been a big loss. And I think that's part of, like, we did not want cancer to change everything about us, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything that cancer hasn't really touched in our lives. I feel like it's really formed almost everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's, I think, sort of how I don't feel like we would have, I'm stumbling through this. I feel like I didn't want cancer to feel like something that was taking things away more than it already was, right? It took away the opportunity to have more children, it took away all, I don't, just kind of the thought that life would just be the way you expected it to be. It took away a lot of things, but then the replacement of what comes with that, instead of being like negative, or I had to grieve some of it for sure. But I think some of the perspective that it left us with was so incredibly valuable, right?
All right.
And that's what's, I mean, I think sometimes when I talk with women, and I understand the grieving. I think grieving is important, but there's also a point where you just have to go, okay, how can I make lemonade? How can I make lemonade out of lemons in this situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? How do you think cancer has impacted us? Or what do you...
Big thing is perspective.
Yeah.
Just on you do only live once, and it can end at any time, and we are not in control of most of those things,
Yeah.
although we want to be, and we try to eat healthy and exercise and do all to live a longer life and all that crap, but it's
Yeah.
you don't have to. So perspective, definitely. And I think that's probably our personality too, is that perspective we've adopted, the you only live once type of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
take some chances and do those things and we'll figure it out type of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily think we would have done that to the extent without cancer by any means.
No.
We got Ty
Yeah.
because of that. And that
Yeah.
would have never happened,
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I don't think that would have ever happened. So
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ty is the biggest unexpected.
we adopted a son from India
Yeah.
when he was a year and a half old. How long had...
He came home in 2002, in August of 2002.
Okay.
So, but we started the process in January of 2001. I do look at some of that and go, wow, I can't believe we tackled it when we did. I hadn't been out very long.
This
what I
just
mean?
tells you, and I don't think of us like this, but we were effing crazy.
Yeah.
Head football coach and new head football coach and doing all this and the craziness that comes with that. And hey, you know what? Let's adopt another kid. I really, you've been out of this treatment for a long time now, like 10 months. And that was just us. I don't know.
I think it was take the opportunity if it was available.
Yeah.
And that's where, I mean, I look at that's for both of our kids. Like, if we hadn't kind of haphazardly said, oh yeah, let's see if we can get pregnant, we wouldn't have had Sydney. I had cancer during that time. Mm-hmm. We know that. We would have found it, and we wouldn't have had kids, that way. So I think also, I mean, my feeling on that with Ty, and I remember you were hesitant, and you just were like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have more in me, right? And whatever. But I just saw you as a dad that was like such a great dad, that even if I wasn't going to be there, I knew he'd have a really great dad, and that to me was worth it. I mean, to try, I guess. And I mean, we've talked about it many times. Ty, will say that he's thankful in some ways for the cancer, because that's what brought him here. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a great thing, and I do feel like our family is exactly the way it's supposed to be, and I think even like the cancer has allowed us we say yes to things, right? So
we do.
And
we have an awesome life.
Yeah. Like
an awesome life. And hasn't always been easy or whatever, but I think everything is perspective, right? It's comparisons.
Yeah.
And we were broke for a lot of years.
Yeah.
But it was our normal, so it wasn't broke.
Yeah.
But now, we couldn't do things and didn't really want to do things. Or it's just all in perspective. But yeah, I'm very, very thankful for a lot of things now because of that.
Yeah.
But more because of that, I'm saying. Because of the perspective and comparison.
Yeah, I think that the perspective helped us along the way, because when you're a young family and doing, raising kids and things like that, there is a little bit of keeping up with the Joneses and that kind of stuff. And certainly, I think I've talked about it before too, like, even once I had gone back to work, people kind of assumed that we were the same as them in terms of, working, and, our financial life was not the same as anybody's, And also, I mean, even, I guess last year I worked full time, but I don't generally work full time. It's really important to me to have the flexibility to do the things that I need to do, to take care of myself and to be with you guys and everything else. And I've always appreciated your support of that, right? But I think you've always just realized too, like, this is not about the money, right? So,
nope.
I don't know. It's, yeah. So I don't know what day of the week December 17th is on. I'm guessing it's in the middle of the week.
Me too.
Which means I don't even know if I'll be home. I was
probably not
gonna suggest a celebration of some kind.
It is on a Sunday.
Oh, it's on a Sunday. Woo! Well, how should we celebrate?
I don't know. This is more your call.
I mean, yeah, I'll think about it, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
25.
25.
Quarter of a century. There's got to be something there. It's normally birthdays, but
I know.
This is more important.
It is more important. Without this, there'd be no birthdays.
No birthdays. Yep.
So, yeah. Happy to be here. I don't feel like this has been our most uplifting episode.
Was talking about all the crappy parts.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm still here.
You are. See ya.